What's up, everyone? This is Jay High from Couch and Keyboard, and I am doing another Smash player profile. This time on Salt. Now she is in Full House Siege. She did qualify for that invitational, but just in general, we'll kind of go over her career to this point. Now she is known for both Melee and PM. As we look at rankings, definitely more known for Melee, but has been entering some PM stuff more recently as well. Like, entered a few stuff here and there, but starting to do pretty good in PM. Getting 6th in the world, now it's a less stacked in terms of like high level players, but still very impressive in a lot of matchups she's not super familiar with. So that's cool to see. But we're going to focus on Melee mainly. Now we see that for Melee, she got her start a while ago, pretty much back in like 2016. Now started in Texas for the longest time, recently moved to Oregon. But Texas is kind of where she got her start. And, you know, we saw it kind of just grinding through. Now, she has attended like 500 different events. So it actually, for SuperMajor.gg, it kind of crashes if a player goes to too many events. It's hard to see them. I remember I was looking at Zomba for Ultimate, and he goes to a ton of locals as well, and that was also crashing. So that's my theory. So I'll use a few different things here and there, but I can at least use this part. Now, nothing too crazy. A Palpa win is not terrible. Started to do better here. We see an Arc win. Arc is you know, traditionally a pretty good Marth against Falcon. Shout out to that one Millie Stats video where Arc beat Wizrobe in like 2015, I think. You know, did pretty good at the Peach matchup. And then we see that in early 2020, doing a little bit better. STJ, Eddie Mexico, Arc again, Justice, Pantera. Looks like, I don't, let me try and look at the tournaments. I guess there's, yeah. I guess I was wondering if, because Texas to Mexico is not super duper far. I don't know if she went to Smash Factor or what. Either way, was doing pretty good there. Came back and did pretty solidly in 2021. You know, got a few good wins. This was kind of in a middle ground in terms of ranking and whatnot. So it's like, okay, Bonfire would eventually get ranked, but there was no ranking at the time, so this win is not always going to stand out. Being the Leaf, Peanut Phobia, you know, doing pretty solidly. 2022 is definitely when Salt started to show up a lot more. We see for rankings, summer 2022 and a full year for 2022 is kind of when it got started. So getting ranked in about the top 30 for both. We see for 2022, did get into Smash Summit 13. I remember they kind of had to do some different stuff because some players got DQ'd due to COVID. Dark Gen X being one of them, who I mentioned earlier this week. But had a crazy set against Blue. I mean, some of the stuff that Salt was doing was just nuts. But just in general, was doing pretty good. There was a decent amount of pretty stacked stuff, like Lost Tech City in Texas. Not very big in terms of entrance, but still fairly top heavy, and got top 8 there. Multiple different top 32s here. So pretty consistent. And just naturally, you know, when you're placing higher, you have better players you're playing. And we see a lot of top 50 wins here. Especially SDJ. As Salt improved, SDJ improved. We also saw SFOP starting to do a little bit better on this time. So Texas as a whole, Bobby Big Balls also moving from MDVA to Texas. So Texas was getting pretty strong. And I think like the main thing that I was familiar with, because Salt, yeah, got into Smash Summit, didn't do amazing, but did solid. But the biggest thing, I forget if it was this year or not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this year. Beating Axe and Laud at Low Tide City, and winning that event was a pretty big deal. It wasn't super stacked, but to be able to beat both of those players in the same event, very good. Now, Axe was not quite as good this year, but still, Axe is one of the best of all time. Uh, and some people consider to be, Pikachu generally does pretty well against Falcon, no matter what game you're playing. I think Melee is probably the one where it's a little bit better, but still, and doing good at a variety of matchups. Now this one specifically, I think is a bit of like contentious because the off season was a tournament hosted by the Optic esports group. I think more specifically like just a few of them, and they really liked Call of Duty and they really liked Smash. So they had a bunch of stuff, and Salt actually unofficially ended HBox's top 8 streak at this event, but people were saying it didn't really count because of the opportunity to have, I think, Congo Jungle as a legal stage, and it was just kind of unclear. Look, I think that if both players are going mains, which I also think is sometimes a cop-out anyway, but generally, like, okay, if they're both going mains, if it's a serious, like, high production, nothing wrong with the setup. Like, I think it's worth looking at and considering. And so, yeah, maybe it didn't count as much. I don't think it really affected Salt's rank at all, but still was doing pretty good in this year. Was able to get top 20 for both of them, doing very solidly, showing very good at the Peach matchup, which Falcon typically is. Just long limbs, being able to combo a fairly tall character. Also doing very good at the Fox matchup, and just seeing like overall, also being Magi, just being good at a lot of these matchups, and was able to. I mean, these are all top 25 wins, so was able to do very good there. We saw much consistency, and then 2024 winning out of the blue. That wasn't quite as stacked as it was in this most recent one, but still very good. 13th at Dome Park was not amazing, but that event was wild. And yeah, we're just seeing good results overall, doing very solidly. In terms of victories, we did see a win over Mango, AMSA. Just a lot of these really good victories here. And it was very impressive. I mean, we're seeing just very good consistency in all kinds of matchups. Having Foss experience, having Puff experience, doing very well. And for 2024, did get ranked in the top 15 again. We're seeing pretty consistently staying up there, and people were starting to say like, okay, the traditional top 3 Falcons of Wizzy, S2J, and None, that's not really here anymore. S2J doesn't enter as much. None also doesn't enter. Enters more than S2J, but it's not always consistent. Sometimes it gets like top 30, top 40 in terms of rankings. And Salt is just grinding. I mean, Salt is entering a ton, getting good wins. Like, you can't ignore it. And so it became a point to where Salt was, pretty much like the second best Falcon in a lot of people's eyes, and actually surpassed Wizrobe in this summer 2025 ranking. It was to the point to where Summer was number 8. I think Wizrobe was number 9. And now the year ended to where Wizrobe was ahead of Salt. But a big part of that, Salt got a Cody Schwab win. And also Josh May had a great year. Beating Josh, it made Salt look better. And we see a lot of Peach victories. One thing was moving to Oregon. Best player there is a Peach. So doing very good at the Peach matchup, getting a solid a Sheik win. Traditionally, that's a tough matchup for Falcon, but yeah, just doing very well overall. Attending a ton of stuff. Crudo and Salt were kind of like the regional like super consistent players. I was doing some stuff in 2024, 2025. In terms of like when I started to do some of the reviews and the quarterly reports and stuff. And it was like, dang, Salt goes to a lot of regionals and wins a lot of them. And so sometimes it's that doesn't always translate because it's like if you're the top seed and you win, sometimes it's just kind of what you should have done anyway. It doesn't always like add to it. But I mean, we're seeing a lot of really strong finishes. Tipped off 17th, not too hot, but still very good besides that, getting a ton of top 8 or ninth place finishes. And generally, you're going to have to beat some pretty good players to get there. I mean, we're just seeing like another AMSA win. I think one of them was at Now Invitational. I think this one was at Gommel? Not sure. Yes, Now Invitational Gommel. Got that right. But yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes Falcon has done pretty well against Yoshi, but I mean, it did have a Penophobia win a while ago, but able to succeed in a lot of different matchups, seeing more wins against Axe. I believe both of those were at Genesis X2. And yeah, just doing very consistently. Ginger sometimes struggles in the Falcon matchup, but was able to get that win there, doing good against some more Foxes. And then started off the year pretty strong with a 4th place finish at Genesis, being able to qualify for this event, getting into Full House Siege. So very consistent, very impressive. Yeah, and doing very solidly here. We see was able to did lose to Junebug at one of the patchworks, but was able to win another one. And yeah, so we're seeing a lot of really impressive stuff from Salt recently. And so I think a question that I'm going to ask kind of in this in this video is Salt going to be the highest placing Falcon? And I'm not so sure. I think it's very possible, though. I mean, if you look at Summer Rank and from last year, and you look at outplacing Wizzy at Genesis, that's not bad. Like, that's pretty good. And we don't see a lot of players doing that. And yeah, so I do think that Salt, I forgot to add this here, but I do think Salt will likely get 9th. I do think it could be pretty challenging. It will be tough, especially because there's a Sheik here. There are players that Salt traditionally doesn't do amazing against lifetime, but I think is starting to get better as we go along. So I think that it's going to be tough for Salt to finally get that Zane victory. If we look at the heads-to-heads here, the only players that Salt has never beaten is Zane, Moki, Jmook, and Wizrobe. Now, these sets were a long time ago for Wizrobe. Wizrobe has shown sometimes that is not the strongest in the Falcon Ditto. Did lose a Falcon Ditto to None pretty recently. So I'm not quite sure. I do think that Salt will probably do fine in the Ditto, maybe not amazingly. I think that sometimes it's you get a little lost cooking in the kitchen. I think has done pretty good against some Foxes, especially Joshman. For whatever reason, it seems like Joshman has taken a set off of Wizrobe not that long ago, but is down 2-4 lifetime and down 0-2 in the last 2 sets against Salt, one of them being at Genesis. So I think Salt really wants to have Joshman in her path. I could see, wanting to have a Luigi in her path. I think that having 2 Luigis and being good in the matchup, as evidenced by beating Rat Monster a lot, I think is going to be pretty good. Now, traditionally, struggles a little bit against Magi, 2-5 lifetime, but they haven't played in a while. I think Salt has gotten better. We've seen a few Falco wins here and there. I do think the Salt is, going to be pretty good in a lot of these matchups. I think that Dawson, at the Patchwork pre-local a few years ago, Dawson did take 2 sets in grands at that. If you don't want to count a pre-local, that's on you. I think it's worth looking at, but it's still positive lifetime, and that was, I think, like a year and a half ago. Or year and 3 quarters, I guess. Has a very good winning record against Aura. Now, Aura's the only Peach here, so it's not like you can really use that experience against a different Peach, like Lot or Triff or something. But still good. Fine at the Ice Climber matchup. So overall, I think that Salt has some good opportunities here. But I do think that it might be a little bit challenging. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out something real fast. But anyway, another character that Salt tries to play as is Falco. I am not a believer in the Salt Falco. So I know sometimes instead of the Falcon Ditto, she's tried to go Falco. I don't think her Falco's that good. I know it's like it's okay in terms of results. I think she should stick out Falcon. I think that clearly, I mean, having a Cody win, unofficial but still worth considering, an H box win. Stick it out, Salt. I don't think you should switch to Falco. Falco's fine, but it's not that good. I think that you should simply stick to it and don't go to your secondary, because I would say that you have a pretty good chance here if you just stick to your main. So, yeah. I do think that Wizrobe will place higher than Salt. I don't think that Salt will be the highest Falcon in terms of placings. But I do think that, she has a solid chance about doing, pretty good. And I think that depending on some matchups, I think she could get on the board against Jmook. I think she could get on the board against Moki. I think Zane's going to be challenging. I think Wizard's going to be challenging. But I do think that she has a solid chance about pretty much anyone. And consistently being top 15, not top 10. So I do think Salt is going to be someone that's, you're going to have to watch out for. And I do think another benefit is, even though this is one of the characters that has multiple people there, I did mention in the other video that Saucy Main will likely get a lot of experience. I don't think that Wizrobe is going to be playing many friendlies to help people with the matchup. Wizrobe is sometimes having trouble with energy management and all that. So I don't know if Wizrobe is going to necessarily lend out that opportunity. And Nun, I think, it kind of just plays to play. I don't think Nun is really kind of like a grinder in terms of breaking down these things. So I don't think that people are going to get as much. I think Salt could be better for playing people to prepare for the other Falcons. Maybe playing against a Fox. Let's say that Sunsei has Wizrobe coming up, and Salt has Moki coming up. They play each other, and they're able to both practice for that matchup. I do think there's a lot of potential there. They're both the two most represented characters, so I think that Salt might be the train, the one who helps being trained, not the ones that they're training for, pretty much. Now, again, it's Falcon. You're going to know the Falcon matchup if you play Melee. But I do think that Salt does have opportunities. I still think she's going to get just outside of top 8, just like a few invitationals in the past. But there's a good chance she gets on a run. I mean, we saw her get top 4 earlier. We've seen a lot of good placings. We saw a Cody win last year. There's a lot of opportunities that Salt has, and especially if Rat Monster gets some wins and then she can beat Rat Monster like she's done so many times, just beat him on 6-0'd him online the other day, I do think that Salt could do very well. Not super likely, but very possible. I'm very curious to see. I think that beating Wizrobe this year in terms of highest Falcon is going to be a tall task, but hey, it's a long year. So I'm very curious to see what Salt will do.